Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya 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 Gurudev, Hare Bol. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari. Thank you, Gurudev Prabhu. Thank you for the kitchen at short notice, and welcome everybody to ISKCON Columbus Sunday Feast. Prabhu, you are able to hear me, right? Prabhu, you are able to hear me properly? Can anyone confirm that you are able to hear me?
Something sound is broken.
Okay.
No, I can hear you clearly, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. So we'll get on with the next part of our program. So we start our Sunday feast at 11 o'clock in the morning, and for half an hour we have Kirtan, and today's Kirtan was by Gurudev Prabhu. And from 11:30 to 12:30 we have our Sunday feast discourse, and at 12:30 we break for local announcements. Generally the last 15 minutes is for Q&A session, and today I'm very happy and proud to have introduced the Sunday feast speaker, Rukmini Mataji from our very own congregation. I'll give a brief introduction of Rukmini Mataji. Rukmini Devi Dasi was introduced to Krishna consciousness from childhood. She grew up going to ISKCON Denver and then ISKCON Los Angeles. In 1991, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami gave her first initiation, and in 2006, Srila Bhakti Vallabh Tirth Goswami gave her second initiation. She has a PhD in mathematics and now lives in Columbus, Ohio, where she works as a data scientist. Rukmini Devi Dasi has been teaching Krishna consciousness publicly since 2013. She has been giving temple classes at ISKCON Columbus since 2015 and participates in other services such as Columbus Bhakti Yoga Outreach Group. She currently serves as one of the secretaries of SAC, the Sattvic Advisory Council of ISKCON. She is co-authoring a book with Agnes Urmila Devi Dasi, Dr. Urmila Edith Best, Career Dharma, the natural art of work, to appear within a year. So that's a brief introduction, and today's topic is places of Nityananda Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji. Please, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhu, for that kind introduction and for kindly inviting me to speak. So we'll begin with short prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namong Vishnupadaya Shri Gauruprimurte Shrimati Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Niti Namane. Namong Vishnupadaya Gaurapashtai Bhutale Shrimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Namane. Namong Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shrunuvadi Paschatha Deshatayane. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindubhaya Vachapatitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I am hearing. Okay, that stopped. So people can hear me well?
Yes, Mother.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm speaking today about places of Nityananda Prabhu because here in Columbus we will be celebrating Nityananda Trayodashi, the appearance day of Nityananda Prabhu, tomorrow, and so today is the Adivas. And so I want to say to begin with that most of these places that I have not been to. I will be showing places that I have found on the internet, and so I will pray to all of you Vaishnavas to have mercy on me that one day I can go to these places, these tirthas, places of pilgrimage, and in the association of Vaishnavas. And I myself, I'm not qualified to speak about any of these places. As I said, I haven't even been there, but to purify myself and to help prepare for the appearance day of Nityananda Prabhu, I'm sharing what I found. So let me share my screen. which is where here. Are you all seeing my PowerPoint?
Yes, Bhante.
And let me see if I can make it a bit bigger and put it in the slideshow mode. All right, and are you seeing my just one slide, or are you seeing the slide with the next slide?
We see the main slide and there are some slides on the side. So next slide, yeah.
Yeah, there should be a way now to do that. Let me see. All right, let me unshare and go to slideshow. And now if I share, so are you still seeing this the slide on the side?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay, I think there's another way to share. Let me stop the share. And if I share over here, I think this will do. Okay, so now hopefully you're seeing just one slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you. Thank you all for coming. This is a tour of some of the places of Nityananda Prabhu. Of course, there's many, many more than I can speak about in this time, but these are just some of the places to help us get in the mood of remembering Nityananda Prabhu. So first, we'll see the map. This is a map of modern-day India. So this is just to orient ourselves, because I'll be showing where places are with respect to different states. And missing here is, this is Bangladesh. So the coast continues here. So on some of the maps you can see the coastline here. And then this is the, over here is the Bay of Bengal. So we will start in West Bengal here. And remember that, it narrows here and then continues north, so that will orient us. And so we start with the appearance of Nityananda Prabhu. He appeared in Ekachakra Dham, which is now this, in this map we're looking at Bengal. By the way, are you seeing my my pointer when I move the mouse here? I'm pointing. Yeah. Oh, good. All right. So he appeared in Birbhum, the district Birbhum, Bengal, in Ekachakra Dham, which is near the Rampur Hut rail station, and this is an interesting place with an ancient. We have the ancient history that the Pandavas, when they were had escaped from the house of Lak and were in disguise and living as Brahmanas, they came to this place, Ekachakra, and were living there in hiding. And so there's this grove of Keli Kadamba trees called Pandav Tal in that place. And then there's also a reason for the name of that place. So as we know that when Krishna, when the Mahabharata war was going on, Krishna had sworn not to take up any weapons. But then one day, Bhishma Dev was fighting very ferociously. He had vowed that he would force Krishna to take up a weapon because he had been told by Duryodhana that he was not fighting with full force. And so he was saying that he would fight with full force and he would basically try to kill Arjun. And so at that point, Krishna broke his promise and started taking up the chariot wheel to attack Bhishma, to stop him from killing Arjun. And here Arjuna, we see Arjuna is trying to hold him back. So ultimately, Bhishma then stopped resisting and dropped everything. So then Krishna didn't throw the chariot wheel at Bhishma, but he threw the chariot wheel aside, and it is said to have landed in Ekachakra. So that is why that is the name of Ekachakra, which means one wheel. So in Ekachakra, there is a Garupavas Mandir. That is the temple that marks the appearance spot of Nityananda Prabhu, and there are banyan trees around which remain from the time of Nityananda Prabhu. And here is a deity of Nityananda Prabhu in Ekachakra Dham that is in the Sutik Mandir. So this is a deity in his appearance place. Now, as I said, I have not been to Ekachakra Dham, and I haven't been to many of the places I will be speaking about. So I want to introduce that there are these two wonderful devotees, Diptiman Gaura Haridas and Diptimayi Vishnupriya Devi Dasi. And I want to acknowledge that they have a wonderful website called www.thegaudiyatreasuresofbengal.com. And so the URL is there. And so I strongly suggest that you go visit their website for more about many of these pictures. So it'll say on the pictures when they come from that website, because they have many more details and even many more pictures than I can describe. And so these are disciples of Jayapataka Swami. Prabhu, are you saying something?
Yeah, I saw one raised hand.
That was me, Prabhu. That was me.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
Rukmini Mataji, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know that the slides are really small. So while we can see the pictures, we cannot see the text. The font is way too small in the text. Perhaps that was the intent, but I just wanted to let you know.
So can you see the big text that says the names of these devotees?
Yes. If I strain hard, yes, I can see it. Yes.
Okay.
Is there a way to blow up and make it a little bigger or something?
Yeah, let me see if I can switch
like a full
these.
screen or something like that. Yeah.
I may have to stop sharing for that.
It's okay, Mataji. It looks like it's a problem only for some people. Others are able to see the text well. So
sure.
It is not a problem for me, because even I can blow from my side. I can see it's working.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the settings issue.
okay.
So I will. Okay, then I'll just share again and continue then. Share, and I will share. Which am I sharing? I'm sharing the slideshow. Yes. Okay, so I'll just continue then. Sorry about that, and also you can ask me later also about so this text is mostly just notes, so I'll be saying it also. All right, so these devotees, I'm acknowledging that many of the pictures are from their amazing website. So in particular, trying to advance the slide. So first, so this is in Ekachakra Dham. We have Padmavati Kunda. So this is a pond that is just behind Nityananda's Prabhu's appearance place, and this was gifted to Harai Pandit, the father of Nityananda Prabhu, by his father-in-law, Padmavati Devi's father, Mukutnarayan Rai. So he had this pond dug, and so this is where Padmavati used to bathe little Nityananda Prabhu every day. So you can go there to that pond, and then this is his home in Ekachakra Dham, or rather the gate to his home. You can go visit. So on this amazing website, they even give you the directions and how to get there. So I strongly recommend visiting and seeing how to get to all these places. And then here is a bakul tree. This is also in that same dham. And underneath this bakul tree, Nityananda Prabhu and his little friends used to reenact the pastimes of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna, his childhood friends, under this tree. And it's also there's Naripot, which is where his umbilical cord was buried. And here is Hantugara. So this is a pond that was made by Nityananda Prabhu. He called all the sacred waters of all the tirthas, or pilgrimage places, into this pond so that people wouldn't have to go all over India to find all these tirthas. They could just go to this pond. and take a dip there. And there's many more places there. So he stayed in Ekachakra until he was 12 years old. And then, as we heard last week, a sannyasi came and asked his parents to take him with him on pilgrimage. So at that point, Nityananda Prabhu left with that sannyasi and began traveling. So remember that we started in Ekachakra, and then we're moving to so then this is told in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda, chapter 9, verse 106. So it begins the tale of his pilgrimage. So we started around Ekachakra, which was around here, and then we go west to Bakreshwar, which is in Birbhum still. And there's a temple of Shiva and Parvati here, the Bakreshwar temple. And then we go to, so now we're moving between different states, although, so now next we're going to Deoghar, which is in Jharkhand. So the Jharkhand is this next state. It's not labeled on the map, the pink state. And within Jharkhand, here is Deoghar, and there's more temple of Shiva and Parvati, the Baba Vaidyanath temple there. And then we're going again. So we're moving like this west. It's basically due west, but we're moving between different states. And next we're going to go to Bihar. And in the state of Bihar, there is the place called Goya. And so there's a famous temple called the Vishnupada temple. So, and people go there to see the footprints of Lord Vishnu. And so then we're continuing, and we will go from Bihar to Uttar Pradesh. And so then here's a map of Uttar Pradesh. So the first place that is mentioned in Uttar Pradesh is Varanasi, or Kashi. And here's the famous Dashashwamedh Ghat in Kashi. And then we're continuing in Uttar Pradesh, so then we will go to, keep going west to Prayag. So Prayag is also known as Allahabad. And so this is a very famous place because it's the place of the Kumbh Mela festival. And so this is where, so on this side of the picture you see the Ganga, and on this side you see the Jamuna. And this is called Trivani because there's actually 3 rivers meeting here, but the Saraswati River is an ancient river that is no longer visible. So the Saraswati River is underneath. And so you can see here where the rivers are coming together, the Ganga and Jamuna, and this is where people come together to bathe, especially on Kumbh Mela, the Kumbh Mela festival, which takes place every 12 years. So this place is called Trivani Sangam because these 3 rivers come together here at Prayag. So continuing west, we finally continue from Allahabad and reach Vrindavan. So now here, this is where Nityananda Prabhu, who is none other than Balaram himself, he had come to Mathura, Vrindavan, and Govardhan, and he spent some time here. But then, so by the way, that sannyasi, he took him to Bakreshwar, but already in the next place, Vaidyanath, it says in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that he went there alone. So we're not sure exactly how long he stayed with the sannyasi and at what point he was moving about independently of that sannyasi. So here in Vrindavan, from Vrindavan, he then went on pilgrimage all over India. So he went north to Badrigashram, he went south to Kanyakumari, he went west to Dwarka, he went east to Puri. And so all these places, there's a long pilgrimage, and if you go to that place in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the Adi Kanda chapter 9, starting around verse 106, then you'll see a list of all these places, but in the interest of time, we're not going to go through all those pilgrimage that he went, but this is something that can be interesting to you, especially if you're going to any of these places. Then you may be interested to know that Nityananda Prabhu had been there. But to make a long story short, so he spent 20 years from the age of 12 to about at least around the age of 32. He went on this pilgrimage, and then he came back to Vrindavan. So he himself was capable of preaching the Mahaprabhu's message to everyone, but Mahaprabhu himself hadn't started preaching. Mahaprabhu had appeared in 1486, so when Nityananda Prabhu himself was 12 years old, so the same year that he started traveling. And when he was young, he was not manifesting his pastimes of spreading the holy name and preaching the glories of devotion to Sri Krishna. He was doing his pastimes of being a student and being a logician and a great scholar, and he was keeping his devotion hidden. So Nityananda Prabhu decided that he would just hang out in Vrindavan until Mahaprabhu was going to display his opulences. So if you're in Vrindavan, you can see, for instance, Shringar Vat, Vrindavan. So this is the place where Sri Krishna decorated Srimati Radharani with jewels. And here's a tree in the courtyard. So for instance, Nityananda Prabhu meditated under this very tree in Shringar Vat. And there's other places in Vrindavan where Nityananda Prabhu is known to have stayed. So when we go to those places, we may be going on just Vrajamandal Parikrama, then we can remember Nityananda Prabhu. So now we'll come back to Bengal. So now this is 20 years later, back to Bengal. Here's Bengal. And so this is around 1506. So Mahaprabhu has gotten married, and he first married Lakshmi Priya Devi, and then he went to Gaya to do the funeral rites of his father in Gaya. That's one thing that people go to Gaya to do. And when he came back so in Gaya he met with Ishwar Puri, and when he came back from Gaya, then he actually manifested his devotion, and all the Vaishnavas in Navadvip could see that he was a great devotee. So it's at that time that Nityananda Prabhu, and then he came back to Bengal. So we're in Bengal, and Navadvip is marked here. So this is so you'll recall that before we were way far north in Eka Chakra and so forth. So this is Rardadesh, where the Ganga doesn't flow, whereas in Navadvip the Ganga does flow, and it flows down south from there. So when Nityananda Prabhu came to Bengal, he came to Nandan Acharya's house, and he was staying there. And then Mahaprabhu detected that a great personality had arrived in Navadvip. So he asked his devotees to go looking for that new Vaishnav who had come. And they went looking all over Navadvip, and they came back and they said, we didn't find any new Vaishnav had come here. We didn't find any such great personality. We don't know whom you're speaking of. And then Mahaprabhu just smiled, and then he went straight to the house of Nandanacharya. And there he and Nityananda Prabhu met and embraced each other as brothers. And so from that time, their pastimes together began. And so Nityananda Prabhu, at this time, he was staying in the house of Sadashiv Pandit. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a picture of that place. However, most of the pastimes took place in Srivas Angan. So Srivas Angan is the house of Srivas Pandit, the house of Srivas Thakur and Malini Devi. And so shortly after Nityananda Prabhu arrived, Mahaprabhu arranged the Vyasa Puja of Nityananda Prabhu in this place. And there are many pastimes in Srivas Angan. And so, for instance, here is the Panchatattva deities in Srivas Angan. So here is Nityananda Prabhu, here is Mahaprabhu. And so one of the pastimes is that the kirtan was going on at night the Vaishnavas together were doing kirtan. And so one of the pastimes was that the Chandkazi sent his men to break the mridanga after hearing complaints by the local Hindus about this kirtan. So that's the place of the Kolbanga Lila. And many, many other pastimes took place in Srivas Angan. Another famous pastime of Nityananda Prabhu is the deliverance of Drogai and Madhai. So because there's so many pastimes, I'm not giving any pastime in detail because there's so many places, and presumably we'll be hearing about these pastimes in more detail tomorrow from His Holiness Shri Giriraj Swami. But this place is the place where Drogai and Madhai were saved by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So it's called Shri Shri Drogai Madhai Uddhar Temple. And Uddhar means rescue or deliverance. And there are many, many deities in this temple. But in particular, here's the deities of Nitai Gaur, and here are Drogai and Madhai. I don't actually know which one of them is which, who were rescued, and this temple commemorates their rescue. That Nityananda Prabhu, even after being hit by the broken clay pot and bleeding, he had so much mercy that he begged Mahaprabhu not to kill them, but to deliver them. And so they were, by his mercy, they were delivered. So there were more pastimes in Navadvip, but next we'll be talking about Katwa, which in Bengali is also spelled Katwa. It's spelled like Katoya, but it's pronounced as Katwa. So it is also a place some distance from Navadvip. And in Katwa, Mahaprabhu, when he decided, so this was in 1510, Mahaprabhu decided to leave married life. He left Shachi Mata and his mother and Vishnupriya Devi, his wife, and he took sannyas. Sorry, how do I get that to stop? Oops, what happened? All right, so, oh, I don't know how that happened. Start the slideshow from the current slide, please. Okay. And share the screen. Stop that, share the screen. Here. Okay, and here we see the, this is the pastime that Mahaprabhu is about to take sannyas, so he is going to get his hair cut. So very few Mahaprabhu, so by the way, are people seeing the screen now? Can someone say to me?
Yes, Tota, yes.
Okay, so Mahaprabhu wanted to get his hair cut, and he told very few people that he was going to take sannyas, but Nityananda Prabhu was one of them. And here we see the barber is crying because he doesn't want to shave Mahaprabhu's beautiful hair, and many other people are crying because they don't want Mahaprabhu to take sannyas. There is also nearby the tree where this pastime took place. You can see that tree in Katwa, and you can also go to the house of that barber. The barber, after undergoing this traumatic event, he decided never to cut hair again. So from this time, then Mahaprabhu was looking for Vrindavan, but instead, Nityananda Prabhu tricked him. He told some cowherd boys that tell Mahaprabhu that if he comes this way, that this river Ganga is actually the Jamuna. And in this way, so Mahaprabhu was trying immediately to go to Vrindavan, but because through Nityananda Prabhu's trick, he brought Mahaprabhu to Shantipur. And Shantipur is one of these places that I've actually been to. So this is Sri Advaita Path. This is the house of Advaita Acharya. So then, after having traveled for 3 days, Mahaprabhu went along the Ganga, and then Advaita Acharya came in a boat, and that's when Mahaprabhu realized that he had been tricked. But then Advaita Acharya took him to his home in Shantipur. And there is the famous pastime of Advaita Acharya feeding Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu said, "This is way too much rice." And Nityananda Prabhu said that, this is hardly anything. And he started throwing the rice at Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Acharya was dancing in ecstasy. So, so if you can go to Shantipur, I highly recommend it. It is really a very peaceful place. That's the meaning of Shantipur. So, so then Mahaprabhu then continued to go. So now we're going from West Bengal to Odisha, because Shachi Mata had come to Shantipur to see him after he had taken sannyas, and she gave him permission to take sannyas, but she asked that he go somewhere nearby, not so far as Vrindavan, so that she could easily get news of him. And so he agreed, and he started on his way to Jagannath Puri, which is in Odisha here. But first, we come to Chandanpur. So we're coming south along the coast from Bengal, and here's Chandanpur. And Chandanpur, near to Chandanpur, is the place of the Dandabhanga Leela. So this is the place where Lord Nityananda broke the sannyas danda of Mahaprabhu. He didn't really agree that Mahaprabhu should have taken sannyas, or that sannyas is an important thing. And so there are. So here is the Dandabhanga Leela Bhumi, and here are the deities in the ashram that is commemorating that Leela. And there are also many other very interesting and astonishing deities at that place. So I recommend that you visit this website and see, for instance, there's a 12-armed deity of Mahaprabhu, and there's also a Dandabhanga Gopinath. But in the interest of time, we'll go to the next place, which is Jagannath Puri. So continuing south and west, we come to Jagannath Puri. And in particular, so of course there were many, many pastimes in Jagannath Puri, and the devotees from Bengal, which included Nityananda Prabhu, would come and visit Jagannath Puri every year, and many pastimes took place here. But the one place that I'm specifically remembering here is the Toto Gopinath temple. So this temple was taken care of by Gadadhar Pandit, who is another main associate of Mahaprabhu, who had been his associate since Navadip days, from childhood. And he, Gadadhar Pandit, never married, and he took kshetra sannyas, meaning that he resolved to stay in Tota Gopinath temple and serve the deities there. So this is the place of Gadadhar Pandit. And so Nityananda Prabhu, of course, came here more than once, but in particular, it is said that he came, Gadadhar Pandit invited him there, so Nityananda Prabhu brought some special rice, and Gadadhar Pandit cooked it, and then just when it was ready, then Mahaprabhu appeared, and so there is this Leela of the three of them appearing, taking prasadam together in the Tota Gopinath temple. So here is the deity of Tota Gopinath. This is a very unusual deity, and again, this is, as far as I recall, I haven't been to the Toto Gopinath temple. Oh, here's a note in the chat about why Nityananda Prabhu broke the Dunda. Another item was that the Dunda that was awarded to Nityananda Prabhu was by the impersonalist Keshav Bharati. And so, so that's one reason why Nityananda Prabhu did not like that particular Dunda. So the Dunda that our sannyasis carry is the Tridanda, which is not that we're all one, but that we dedicate body, mind, and words, or that not we, but the sannyasis dedicate body, mind, and words to engage in the devotion to Lord Krishna. So this was instituted by Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Anyway, so here is Tota Gopinath, and so this is a different kind of sannyas, kshetra sannyas, where Gadadhar Pandit had taken the vow to remain here and serve these deities. And also in this temple is our deities. And why is this not advancing? Oh, wait, yes. So here are deities of Revati, Boladev, and Varuni. So Balaram married two queens in Krishna Lila, Revati and Varuni. And so here is one place where we can find that these deities are worshipped, which is somewhat unusual. And so these are the deities of Revati, Baladev, and Varuni. And of course, Baladev is none other than Nityananda Prabhu himself. So let us go back to Bengal and see what happened to Nityananda Prabhu. So we've been in Odisha, and so Mahaprabhu, so some of his associates like Gadadhar Pandit, he kept with him in Odisha, but in particular, he's especially instructed Nityananda Prabhu to go back to Bengal and to preach there. So, so Nityananda Prabhu, although he came with the devotees from Bengal every year, he spent most of his time back in Bengal. So we're going back to Bengal here. And so we go now to Kalna, or Ambika Kalna, which you see here. And just to orient yourself, this Sundarbans. This is the delta of the Ganga. So this is, and so so the Ganga flows south, and we're going to Kalna. So unfortunately, I couldn't find a map on which Kalna was with the other cities, so it would have been a bit easier to orient yourself. So in Kalna, here is the place of Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit lived in Kalna. So one day, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu both went to Kalna to take lunch at the home of Gauridas Pandit. And if you go there, you can see the oar that Mahaprabhu used to row across the river to Kalna. So at this temple, this temple of Gauridas Pandit, this is where he offered them lunch, and then when it was time for them to go, he really didn't want them to go. He refused to let them go. He said that you can't possibly leave me. And then to pacify him, finally they said, well, they manifested deities, a pair of deities of Nitai Gaur, and they said, now you choose who will go and who will stay. Either we can stay and the deities will go, or the deities can stay and we can go. And Gauridas Pandit said, well, I'll have you stay and the deities can go. So that is what happened. And here are the deities of Gauridas Pandit in Ambika Kalna. And so these are some of the very earliest deities and of Nityananda and Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu, of course, is on the left. And so if you go to Kalna, then you can have darshan of these amazing deities. And this is one place where I have been, Kalna. Although this is not my picture, and unfortunately I was not able to locate my pictures. So, so another interesting place in Kalna is the place of the brother of Goridas Pandit, Suryadas Sarkel. So here is Suryadas Sarkel. So by the way, here's an interesting thing about Goridas Pandit. If you trace back the Diksha Parampara of Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji, then ultimately it traces back to Goridas Pandit. So anyway, his brother is Suryadas Sarkel, and he had 2 daughters, Vasudha and Janava. And so these are deities of Suryadas Sarkel and his daughters Vasudha and Janava in Ambika Kalna. And so his daughters, Vasudha and Janava, are none other than Vasudha is Varuni and Janava is Revati, the eternal consorts of Sri Boladev. So Nityananda Prabhu, after he came back to Bengal, being ordered to preach, he also got married to these daughters of Suryadas Sarkel, and so this is another place that I've been. This is the wedding place of Nityananda Prabhu. So he got married under this very tree, and then this is the shrine that is commemorating that spot, and that is where he married his eternal consorts. And then he then went and set up his household in Kardaha, which is very, very close to Kolkata. It's just north of Kolkata. And his so again, I haven't unfortunately I haven't been to Kardaha. So this is a place called Kunjavatika, which I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly. So this is the household that this is the house that Nityananda Prabhu set up. So there's an interesting story that he went and asked the jamindar or landholder for a piece of land where he could set up his household, and the landowner was very contemptuous and actually pointed at some water, and he says, well, you can just set up your house there. But of course, Nityananda Prabhu, being the Lord himself, he accepted this, and he manifested an island on that water, and then on that island he built Kunjavatika, and that is where he stayed with Vasudha and Janava. Now these deities are not in Kunjavatika, they're back in Ekachakra, but these are the deities of Vasudha and Janava. And with Vasudha, he had 2 children, or 2 surviving children, Shri Virachandra Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Kshirodakshay Vishnu, the avatar, and Ganga Muni Devi. And with Janava Devi, he did not have children. However, she took care of his disciples after his departure, and she also had disciples of her own. And if you trace the Diksha Parampara of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then that traces back to Janava Devi. So, they resided in Kardaha, and so these are the deities of Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kardaha at Kunjavatika, or Vatika, I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced. And here's also a deity of Virachandra Prabhu. He's also called Virabhadra Prabhu, and so he also initiated many people, and there's a lineage descending from him. And of course, with Jagannath, Boladev, Subhadra, these are the deities at Kardaha. So back to Ekachakra, there's something that we hadn't mentioned at the beginning, which was Bankimrai. So this place is called Shri Kadamba Khandi Ghat, and in this place the Jamuna River used to flow, And Nityananda Prabhu had a dream, and based on that dream, he came to this Sri Kadamba Kandi Ghat, and a log of wood came floating down that river and fetched up here. So he took that log of wood and he used that to carve a deity of Bankim Rai. So commemorating that place, there is a temple, and these are the deities at Kadamba Kandi Ghat. So we see Nityananda and Gauranga, and we see Krishna Balaram, but Balaram is unable to keep his mood of Balaram, but has his upraised hands in the mood of Nityananda. And we also see the deity of Shadbhuj Chaitanya. So, so many of you may be familiar with Shadbhuj deities. So the Shadbhuj means six-armed, and so he has the deity. He has the water pot and the staff of Mahaprabhu. That's the sannyasi. He has the hands playing the flute. That's of Shri Krishna, and he has the bow and arrows. Those are the hands of Shri Ramachandra. So that's another place that you can see if you go to Ekachakra Dham. And if you go there, you may be able to go to the temple of Bankim Rai. So they do not want photos of Bankim Rai, so I don't have a photo of the Bankim Rai deity, although they do exist on the internet. But you can find this temple of Bankim Rai in Ekachakra. And the reason why I saved this for the end is that this is where Nityananda Prabhu merged with the deity of Bankim Rai in around 1541. So that's the disappearance place, and so we can go there and find Nityananda Prabhu as being non-different from Bankim Rai. So those are the pictures that I have, and I took notes about many more places, but I figured that this was already a big tour and a lot, so I wanted to save some time for questions. So I pray at all of your lotus feet. Let me stop sharing. I pray that by your mercy that I can remember Nityananda Prabhu, and also that I can someday go to these tirthas and remember him in the company of the Vaishnavas. So, Vanchakalpatrubhasya kripasindubhaya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So now if there can be any questions.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you for the amazing darshan. And Mother, you'll be able to share the slides, right?
Well, probably. And
okay,
I assume...
yeah, later, that's fine. If you can send it by email or something to me.
Okay.
Then I can share with the congregation. Very nice. So, Mata, I just had one question. It's a very nice this thing. Last week, last Sunday also, we had the on Lord Nityananda, right? There was the Sunday feast, and today you're speaking, and tomorrow again we are having Maharaj. So it's very nice. We are having Lord Nityananda last time. So only one question I had from my side is, most of the places that did Nityananda Prabhu go by walk, or what was the general mode of transportation at that time? So,
many of them he definitely did go by walking. So for instance, one of the pastimes is with Shivananda Sen, that the devotees from Bengal were going back. I think they were going back from Puri to Bengal. I think that it was in that direction. Many devotees from Bengal would go every year for the Rath Yatra and then would stay in Puri for the 4 months of the rainy season. And then Shivananda Sen was supposed to be taking care of the devotees, and then he wasn't taking care of them well, and then Nityananda Prabhu chastised him. So that at that point they were definitely walking, and a lot of this was taking place by walking. Of course, there was some by boat, as I mentioned, but yes, most that we hear about is walking. I'm not aware of other means of transportation. Which,
Thank you,
if you're familiar with these distances, it's amazing how much.
Yeah,
how far
exactly.
it is
That's
to
we
walk
can't
up these
even.
days.
This is something beyond our imagination, actually. So, thank you so much. And I see a couple of raised hands. Was that Alex Prabhu? Did you raise your hand?
Hare Krishna, I raised a hand, but I didn't have questions, so I lowered it down. I just wanted to say thank you for sharing
Thank you.
these wonderful pictures. And yeah, we were there in Ekachakra just last month. We had spent a day, and it was really nice to see all these images. We took some images as well, and there are so many places where the pictures are not permitted, but please pass on the gratitude to those devotees as well who are posting these pictures on their website.
Yes, and also maybe, I mean, people who have been to these places can share something from those places that I may not have found. So,
Right.
I mean,
Alex Prabhu, do you want to share some pictures?
Well, I have so many pictures cluttered in my
Not right
gallery.
away, right?
maybe in the email or the WhatsApp after.
Yeah.
Then,
Later, please feel free to share. That would be very.
Yeah, but yeah, you covered very nicely. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody else?
So, in one purport we are reading today, this is Prem Sindhu Das. Prabhupada says we should chant Gauranga and Nityananda Prabhu's names because in chanting those names there are no offenses that are considered. Whereas in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, there is. So of course we chant the Panchatattva mantra before the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But from the purport, it seems like, Prabhupada says, yeah, the chanting of Gaur Nityananda's names is very, like, there's no offenses in chanting them, and one can get love of Radha Krishna very easily. So would you like to comment something on that?
Yeah, it said, Hanu Nitai Bine Bhai, Radha Krishna Paite Nai, Drida Kori Dharani Tarpai. So the song says that without the mercy of Lord Nityananda, one cannot get one cannot get Radha and Krishna, and so therefore one should very strongly hold on to the feet of Lord Nityananda. So yes, so we do say the entire Panchatattva mantra when in order to get the mercy of the Panchatattva, and since they don't take our offenses, but especially Nityananda Prabhu is said to be most merciful. He is Akrodha Paramananda. He does not get angry, and he is supremely blissful. So we see that when Drogai and Madhai were offending Nityananda Prabhu, then even Mahaprabhu got angry, but Nityananda Prabhu did not get angry. So, so he's Akhanda Guru Tattva. He is the root of all guruhood, and so so he is the one who will rescue us under all circumstances. Is that what you were looking for, Prabhu?
Well,
I mean,
I was
you know
thinking
all this
that
very well.
Is it more beneficial to chant Gaur Nityai's name than Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? That's my...
Oh well, I mean, we have to follow their instructions. I mean, they were always asking us to chant the Maha Mantra. So if we only chant their names and don't chant the Maha Mantra, then we're not really taking their instruction to heart. So so of course we can do both.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure, Mata. There is one question by Rukmini Mataji. Go ahead.
Yes, I see in the chat that I don't know if Rupamandri wants to ask her a question. It looks like she wrote it in the chat.
Yeah. I was just wondering if you saw in Chaitanya Bhagavat where Nityananda Prabhu met Madhavendra Puri, because he's listed as Madhavendra Puri's disciple, and I'm pretty sure it's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, but did you see where they met?
I saw I looked at that very place, and it just said while he was wandering in this way. So it was somewhere in Western India.
I think it's a
But
Prabhu where he also met. Yeah, there was a description in Chaitanya Bhagavat Chaitanya Mangala also. I don't exactly remember the place. It's in the western part of India, somewhere Maharashtra and Gujarati area. That's where it is.
yeah, I think the specific place might be named in Bhakti Ratnakar. I think
Yeah.
Krishna Namananda Prabhu mentioned it last week. But yeah, the verse that I found in Chaitanya Bhagavat just said while he was wandering in this way. But yeah, I think it's known from elsewhere. Could you repeat, or maybe you can put in the chat the name that you said, Naveen Krishna Prabhu, because I didn't find it. Did you say Prabal Kshetra or something?
Yeah. Is it Prabhasa Shekshta? I'm not sure. As far as that comes in UP, but I remember it's in Western. So I'll do research. But I do remember in reading that, but exact place I don't remember yet. West Coast, yeah.
Thank you, Haribol.
I see one more question. Go ahead, Smita.
Hare Krishna, Rukmini Prabhu. This is not so much a question, it's more a comment. First, thank you. It's very clear that you embarked on an exhaustive research to put this together. So thank you. I was very surprised and heartened to see that there is even a deity about Jagai and Madhai in that temple. So I think our faith tells us a lot about the power of redemption. So I found that very inspiring and also uplifting that it serves as a visual reminder for us to learn from, but also the power of redemption from the holy name. So thank you.
Yes, they're amazing, and there's also more places. There's a ghat which they made where they could because they were afraid they had offended so many people that they didn't even know whom they had offended. So Mahaprabhu said, well, if you make this ghat with these stairs, then all the Vaishnavas will be going up and down those stairs, and so and washing their feet, so that way you can serve the Vaishnavas that way. And there's also this place in Koladweep called Aparad Bhanjan Pat, where their offenses were forgiven. So that's also a very special place in Navadweep. So yes, and that is very heartening and inspiring for someone like me, that even though I'm constantly committing offenses, that there's hope, if that the Lord can look on me as fallen like Jagai and Madhai. Nityananda Prabhu is said to have thought specifically of rescuing them because they were very fallen. So then we also can attract, so especially me, I can attract the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu because I'm very fallen. So thank you for that, sharing that comment.
Thank you, Mata. And all these ghats are near Navadvip?
I'm sorry.
Like the ghats you were mentioning now, Jagai Madhai ghat, they built a ghat and all. Is that near Navadvip or?
Yes, that rescue place is in Navadvip. Yeah, so I tried to keep it so that that when there was one, several places that were in the same place, then they were all in that. I tried to keep the map of the place, the rough map. So yes, that was in Navadvip.
Thank you.
And there's also, I think they can also be seen on some bridge. Maybe Rupa Manjari remembers that Jagai and Madhai I think are seen on some bridge.
I think that's a modern architecture. There's a bridge across into Navadvip on one side, and there's these huge statues of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and Gaur Nitai, but I think that's like kind of a tourist thing that was made more recently, and they told us that's not where it happened.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a celebration of the whole story.
Yeah.
They're very large.
Yep. Thank you.
Isn't there a samadhi of Jagai Madhai at Katwa?
If there is, I don't remember seeing it. But I mean, so the day we went to Katwa, like we were really late and we didn't see everything that there was to see. So maybe.
So Mata, I had a couple of other questions. So one is this we say Nityananda Ram. That Ram, does it come from Lord Balram or is it referring to something else? So
it's referring to Lord Balaram. Yes, Sankarshana Karna Doishay, Garbhadashay Chapayotishay, Sheshascha Jashankshakala Sanityananda Karama Sharanam Mamastu. So he is the ultimate source of all incarnations. It said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the first expansion of Krishna is Mula Sankarshan, and then from him expands then the three Vishnus, Karna Dakshay Vishnu, Garbha Dakshay Vishnu, and Kshura Dakshay Vishnu, and then that same Sankarshan is Nityananda Ram. So that's the epithet of Balaram is Mula Shankarshan.
Mother, and you were mentioning about Bankim Rai. Is that the name of the deity or?
Yes, and also the name of an elder brother of Nityananda Prabhu who had passed away. But yes, it is the deity of that is in the temple, Bankim Rai.
Okay. Thank you, Mother.
Oh, Prem Sindhu Prabhu has found the where we can get the Samadhi of Drogai and Madhai in Katwa.
Yeah, even I tried to read this, but there was no place mentioned. They said they met somewhere in the west coast. And that time, Madhavendra Puri, Brahmananda Puri, Ishwar Puri, they were also there. They were in ecstasy, but there was no place mentioned in this.
Mm.
Thank you, Mata. Is there any other questions or any other discussions? Otherwise, we'll prepare for the festival tomorrow. And I just have a couple of announcements.
So, 1 minute, bro. One question.
Go ahead, bro.
So we say we don't need any qualification to receive the mercy of Nityananda. Prabhu is very merciful, right? So what is, there is no qualification required, and so what are we supposed to do? We just ask for mercy and we get it? Is that?
What the qualification is faith, right? Nadiya Gudrume Nityananda Mahajan Patya Chinamahakta Jiver Karam. In Nadiya Gudrum Nityananda the Great has spread the market of the name for every being's sake. Shraddhavan Jana He, Shraddhavan Jana He. People of faith, oh people of faith. So that faith, that is the price. And there's actually a whole elaboration of this. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote in Sri Godruma Kalpatavi that Nityananda Prabhu is the person who is giving it out in the marketplace, and then we are the recipients. And one thing, so yes, it's true that no qualification is required, but one thing is that you must know the song of the broker, right? The Lala Geet. Yeah, Bodo Shukir Khabordai, Bodo Shukir Khabordai. So the song of the broker says that when we bring someone else to Nityananda Prabhu, then we get a commission. So it's like multi-level marketing. So that is especially attracts the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So even when we are spreading the holy name, then not only does that person get, Nityananda Prabhu is so generous, he doesn't only give it to that person, but he gives us more prem or more bhakti as a result, as the commission for bringing those people. Does that help?
Yeah, you said faith, but there were many who had faith in Lord Chaitanya, but not in Lord Nityananda, right? Some because of his avadhut kind of behavior that he and so what would inspire to get faith? How would we get faith in Lord Nityananda? How to get faith?
Well, the acharyas, so for instance, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur, has told much about Nityananda Prabhu, and so has Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So he's in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's also has lots and lots about the tattva, the ontology, the position of Nityananda Prabhu. So then how do we get faith in those acharyas? So that comes by parampara, that ultimately it comes from a devotee who has faith in Nityananda Prabhu, whom we see. So of course Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder acharya, has established deities of Nitai Gaur, throughout ISKCON, and of course, preached heavily about the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, and many people have directly seen his own glories, and it's said that he himself embodied the Shakti of, he was Shakti Avesh avatar of Nityananda Prabhu. So then those who, could get faith in him through their personal experience, then through him they got faith in Nityananda Prabhu. And then of course then that is continuing on with the wonderful Vaishnavas following on from that. So this Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha, there you might be referring to the ladder of faith, that it begins with faith and then the next step is Sadhu Sangha, but actually they're sort of those steps, they sort of commingle, that they reinforce each other. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, Madha. So once again, thank you for your detailed presentation and your time and effort. And we'll close today's program with a couple of announcements for upcoming the festival. So as you all know, as on Monday, tomorrow is the big festival day, and email us all the details. So the highlights are the evening at 6:30 there will be an Abhishek, and that will be broadcast live on Zoom and YouTube. And at 7 o'clock, His Holiness Giras on Maharaj is speaking, is addressing. So I'll request all of you to join and make it a grand event. And the prasadam distribution will start at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6:30. And I see a good number of devotees have signed up for the to-go boxes. But in case if anybody has not done, please do so. Yeah, this is your last window, and we'll be closing it at around 5 or 5:30, whatever I mentioned in the email. So this is just to get a count, like how many boxes you need. So and then the next big festival we are having is on next Monday. That again 21st is the appearance day of His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and we'll send out a separate email for that. And the prasadam distribution will happen the earlier Sunday, that is the 20th. So and there will be a special class on that day also on. His Divine Grace of Maharaj. So and then 26th is Saturday is Vijay Ekadasi, the fasting. And so these are the announcements. Did anybody else want to add something or please?
I see that Rupamandri had written in the chat that this multi-level marketing is not a hoax because the reservoir of prema is infinite. So
Absolutely.
That's the divine. The transcendental is always the opposite.
Yeah. This we need more people to be doing this, right? So yeah. Thank you, Mother, and we'll take a pause today and we'll join tomorrow for Maharaj's discourse. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya yavacha paridanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.